Let's get back to Ghana, where the new levy on 1.5% imposed on all electronic financial transactions above 100 Ghana cedis, roughly $13, which started on May the 1st, has run into turbulent waters. My guest on this is Fred Duval, the CEO at Apakan Securities based in Accra. He's unpacking the new and controversial E-Levy for us on the show tonight. Thanks for coming through this evening, Fred. Great to see you. Thank you so much, Fred. Give me a little bit of a background to this new but controversial E-Levy. What was the government looking to achieve?
So the conversation around the levy started in November last year during the budget presentation by the finance minister, the 2022 budget. So, I mean, the goal basically of the government is to increase its tax revenue, and it's trying to do this by widening the tax base where it ropes in the informal sector, which contributes less to the overall quota of taxes that are paid in the country, but it heavily engages in mobile money transactions. And also looking at the deteriorating fiscal situation, where our debt to GDP is around 80%, and coupled with heightened cost of borrowing and lack of access to the international capital market, it has prompted the government to pursue certain internal revenue generation policies to support the economy. We also know that Ghana has historically had a problem with tax mobilization, where our tax to GDP in 2019 was around 13.5%, which is woefully below the Africa's average of 16.5%. So as part of the government's target to increase this ratio to 20%, it came up with a E-Levy bill. So basically, the government wants to raise more money to support the economy, and it has money to pass the E-Levy bill that seeks to reel in the informal sector of the economy into the tax net.
But where are these sticky points in the new E-Levy program for me? How was it arrived at as to that percentage, 1%? How was it arrived at? Was that the Ministry of Finance? Was that the Ghana Revenue Authority? How did it come about? Were all stakeholders on board before it was rolled out?
So the passage of this bill has not been without controversy, and it's been one of the controversial bills that has been passed in the country for some time now. It was fiercely opposed by the opposition in Parliament. Initially, it was meant to be 1.75%, but there was a lot of kickback from the opposition and the general public, and the government went back. There was a lot of public deliberation and consultation, and the government represented the bill to Parliament at a reduced rate of 1.5%. The bill was expected to have started in January of this year, but the parliamentary tussle meant it only got passed in March of this year and went into effect on the 1st of May. Even with that, there's a pending lawsuit brought before the Supreme Court of the country on the legality of the passage of the bill. The minority side of Parliament walked out during the passage of the bill, and hence they alleged that there was not a quorum in Parliament when the bill was being passed, making it unconstitutional. So even though the bill has been passed and it has been implemented, we're still not out of the woods with regards to the controversy surrounding it.
Interesting how this issue goes when it comes to tax or levies. There are different moving parts, and everybody wants to be on the right side. So what are the consequences of this new E-Levy on your investment market in Ghana? The news is that the SEC, which controls your market, the securities markets, wants investment deals to be exempted. Would that be stocks, bonds, financial services in the market? What's the discussion about between the Ministry of Finance and the SEC?
So, I mean, generally, the levy does not apply to deposits and withdrawals from electronic wallets. And I don't think it's the government's intention to tax capital or investments. Hence, in a direct way, I don't think there will be a direct impact on investments. However, because the levy targets electronic transactions, if, for example, you have an investor or a client wants to transfer money from their mobile wallet to an account for investment purposes. As the law stands right now, it will attract the levy if it exceeds 100 cedis a day or 300 cedis a month. But the SEC is in talks with the government and the Ministry of Finance to find ways of exempting transactions of this nature. Because, I mean, already the law exempts the transactions like purchases of utility, paying your utility bills, paying your taxes with via electronic means are exempted from the levy. So I think that is the tangent that the SEC is approaching this on in its talks with the Ministry of Finance to exempt transactions that have intentions of being used in investments, be it stocks, bonds, treasury bills, all of that.
Okay, so do you think all the gray areas now of this new E-Levy, do you think all gray areas are now being addressed? What resolution do you think is possible? Will it be decided by the court? Will the Ghana Revenue Authority, which is basically the one collecting and is happy to collect from everyone, including you, my friend, by the way, how would this be resolved? What's it looking like?
Yeah, I mean, the Ghana Revenue, they're actually happy collecting it. I think they came out to say after the first couple of days, they've already rigged in 1 million cedis from only one collector of the levy. So they're pretty pleased. But I mean, I'm pretty certain that the implementers of the policy, largely, which will be the banks and the telcos, in conjunction with the Ministry of Finance and other payment platforms, they'll be working around the clock to fix certain teething issues that may be associated with the implementation. Now, what has to happen is the telcos have to recalibrate their systems efficiently to capture the right group of transactions, the right group of customers that have to pay the E-Levy, and this will not happen overnight. Following its implementation, there were reported instances of clients being wrongfully charged and being overcharged, and the government and the telcos and all players have committed to refund to these customers. Also, we see that the government is embarking on an intensive education drive to sensitize the public and give a lot more information around the E-Levy and what it entails and all that. Hopefully, too, in the very near future, the Supreme Court would have made its ruling on the legality of the law to bring finality to it. Just last week, there was this lawsuit in the courts seeking to bring an injunction to the implementation of the bill, which the Supreme Court kicked out on the basis that it will be easier for the government to refund monies to the customers if the Supreme Court determines that the law was illegally passed or unconstitutional, rather than the GRA going to customers to ask them for the money if the law was constitutional. So, I mean, in the coming few weeks, I think that the legality around it will be determined, and we give it about 3 months. I think we should have a smooth sailing implementation going forward.
I understand, Fred. There's always a front and back where money is involved. Nobody wants to part with it. Somebody wants to collect. So we got that with stamp duties here in Nigeria, by the way, trying to resolve who collects it, who pays it, who doesn't pay, everybody wants to get exempted, want to pass it to the next person. Yep. But that's the nature of money and finance. Thank you so much for your time and those perspectives from Accra tonight. Fred Duval, the CEO at African Securities Limited. Wish you all the best. Thank you.